Good. All right, welcome back. Mongo Matters. Season 2. Episode 2. Live at NMG Studios in Roselle Park, New Jersey. That's not a media group to the uninitiated.
Yes, sir.
But we are the initiated.
We are.
Yes, we are.
League of Shadows. But, gentlemen, great first episode. The feedback was good. A lot of people had a lot of interesting things to say from both the male perspective and the female perspective. If you're new to the show last week, we talked about the dating scene in 2022 and how it's like the dating pool has pee in it. That's the title of the episode, so you can pretty much gather what we was talking about on that. So the feedback was so good and people had so much to say after the show that we said, why not dip back into the whole dating relationship scene? Because it's like a hot button topic, right? So we was discussing, and this topic came up, and at first I was like, nah, we can't talk about that because that was like a viral thing a while ago, a couple months ago, whatever like that. But as I started listening to other people talk about this topic, I realized that not many people really touched on the essence of what it meant. And what we talking about today is the table, this metaphorical table of when you go out and you're dating somebody or you're courting somebody, asking that question, what do you bring to the table as a man and what do you bring to the table as a woman? Whether or not that question is in bounds or out of bounds to be asking on a date, what the table is at all, we got to actually define what that means. And we also have to figure out what should every man or every woman bring to a table in a relationship, period, right? So those are the topics of today's show. So let's get into it, right? So there was this viral clip that went around last year from this YouTube channel called 8 at the Table, right? It's like a little round table forum or whatever like that. They be talking about a whole bunch of relationship topics or whatever. And the clip kind of went viral.
It did go viral.
When the lady had a response. So I'm going to play the clip just so our audience has a reference point, and then we're going to react to it and get our own thoughts about what exactly the table means to begin with. Here's the clip.
And every lady here, I want to know, what are you bringing to the table for the man that takes care of you?
Here we go. And take notes. So what I do is I make that house that you pay for, that you pay that mortgage for, I make it at home. I cook the meals. I'm washing clothes.
That's $100 a week.
Don't play with me.
I can get it made.
No. You see that? And see, that's where you're going wrong. It costs more than $100 a week to have somebody cook for you, to have somebody clean up after you. Because a lot of times you men become our children. You understand?
Hold on. Let me ask you a question, right? Everything that you're telling me can be bought. Guess what? I can have an assistant order me paper towels and toilet paper and groceries on Amazon. Actually, I get Whole Foods delivered to my house weekly. It's a subscription. I get meal preps every week. My meal preps is $120 and I get 3 meals a day. I make myself my own breakfast. That's 4 square meals. I have another cleaning lady. She charges me $100 a week to come clean. You are only saving me $600. In a nutshell.
Maybe you.
$600 to $800. But what I'm saying,
maybe I live in a 5,000 square foot
regardless,
home. I'm managing
your
that
services can be paid for. So what are you bringing outside? Listen, if you ask a man, what is he bringing to the table? I'm bringing a house.
So that was 8 at the Table, their YouTube channel. That clip went viral. I understand both sides, but let's talk about the table in general. Gentlemen, what the hell is this table?
Jay, go ahead, man. Start off.
All right. I feel like the table is, what do you bring? What value do you bring to this relationship? And it could be monetary. It could be emotional support. You have to bring something. You have to provide something to this relationship. Like, you can't just come in to the relationship and just be, for lack of a better word, a leech or just baggage. Like, nobody wants that on either side, male or female. So I feel like it's what do you provide, what you can bring, what is your value to this relationship. That's what I feel like the table is.
Dream Peace God.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Jay on that aspect. Also can see it where the question can be kind of toxic. Like, why are we asking that question? through the process of dating, I feel like you would find the reason why what a person brings to the table and everything. But again, I tend to agree with Jay. Like, what value can you bring? How can you make me better? How can you make me be the best version of myself? So that's something I think about when where to define what the table is.
So to me, it feels like a question that would normally come from a man. I mean, from a woman towards a man, right? I kind of feel like in 2022, it's kind of like the new version of trying to find Mr. Right. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of nuances do you bring to the table outside of, good sex and the fact that you technically supposed to be my protector, especially physically or whatever like that? Like, what else do you bring that is going to enhance my life? And that could be the same thing said as far as a man asking a woman that question. And it's really just like the little subtle nuances of what can you do that's going to make my life easier, better, more pleasant, more structured, more worthwhile as far as my caring or the time I'm going to dedicate and money I'm going to dedicate to you. As far as like, do I feel like that's going to be supplemented by how you treat me? That's kind of how I look at the whole question about like, what do you bring to the table? Now, with all that being said, that question is absolute bullshit in my opinion, right? Could you imagine,
agree.
and we all men here, right? You go out on the first date, maybe even a second date, you having a nice dinner, y'all vibing or whatever like that, and the conversation is absolutely pristine. We going good, the vibes is great, food is good. I'm looking at you like, yeah, you're going to get a third date. But could you imagine that question coming out then? So Dre the peace guy, why don't you tell me, what do you bring to the table? It's going to be like,
You're gonna change the whole atmosphere of the date, and potentially the whole atmosphere of the potential relationship that you probably could have had. Like, as I said, like before, why is this question being asked so early? Where through time you can see the development of a person. It doesn't. I don't vibe with that question. I would never ask that question on a date. I would just watch that person, observe them, and see, like, all right, this person can add this, be this benefit in my life or not, and that's how it comes.
I got something to say. It's probably not going to go over well. I don't care. Ladies, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I respect the fact you asked that question. With all due respect, it's a lazy fucking question.
Jay about to get hot in here. Nova's about to get hot in here.
It's a lazy, half-hearted, skip to the end, cliff note question. I understand why you ask it. However, if I was to base everything based on that question, a lot of people wouldn't make it to that second or third date. I feel like that question is so inflammatory on so many fronts. I understand why you ask it. Once again, I get it. There's a lot of motherfuckers out here that's fucking it up for everybody. I understand that. However, me as a man, if I ask that question, I'm broke. I bring nothing to the table. I want a mother. I want to be cared for. I want to be coddled.
Facts.
How? How is that? Explain that to me. Just because I asked that question, that puts me in a realm of, oh, I'm dealing with a little ass boy? Nah, we're not going to let that ride.
So we always like to, at Mondo Matters, even force a devil's advocate, right? So we don't want to be in a situation where we all agree on the same thing. So I'll play devil's advocate on this one. If a female was on a date with you and that question came up and it was just like that, what do you bring to the table? I'm with you 110%, whatever like that. If she's so skilled in the way she talks or she got the personality where she could get that off and she asks us in an indirect way, what exactly do you bring to the table? Do you think it's a fair question, especially in the first early stages of a date, to try to figure out, I'm 37, I'm 38, or whatever like that. I got a kid, or maybe I don't have a kid, but I'm career oriented, whatever like that. A woman trying to figure out from a man why you are worth a lot of my time being dedicated going forward. Do you have a problem with the investigation of whether or not you are worth this person's time? Because there may be like subtle things that you might respond to that question that might be a deal breaker for her. And she's like, yo, I'm trying to get that shit out now, so I ain't gonna waste too much time.
I understand the investigation or the curiosity in the question. I have no problem with you asking that question. I need you to understand me answering that question really solves no issues or qualms you might have.
It doesn't mean anything either.
I can always lie.
It doesn't.
No, I can always lie.
Yeah, you could be a poser.
I can also present some type of facade that I think you want to hear, such as, oh, I'm stable. I'm in a good spot mentally. I bring stability. Emotionally, I'll be able to cater. And yeah, I can run that down for you. But if you want me to be frank and honest, if you want me to sell you a bridge, I can do that. That's not a problem. Pay attention to my actions and my intentions towards you. That tells you everything you need to know.
So, yes, and if the question was posed with a scenario about what would you do in said situation, how to take care, it could be better presented to us men. But as Jay said, that if our actions will always show, our actions will always dictate how a relationship goes. So throughout the time, as I said before, like you would be able to see, so whatever somebody brings to the table, whoever brings it to the table. I don't actually vibe with that question at all. Mm-hmm. I mean, but if we're talking about scenarios, something that may have happened in real life, and you comparing your life situation to that, I would be able to have a conversation about it. But throughout time, I want my future partner to look at me as like, all right, this person, they can see Dre as adding this value to my life, as opposed to whoever I'm trying to be with adding value to mine.
Oh, hold up. Okay, I heard that. So what I just heard is probably somebody out there saying, well, we pay attention to men's actions and their intentions, and y'all still be on some bullshit because there's still some posers. So I pose this question to you. Even with all that being said, ladies, you've taken your time with a man. You've done your due diligence. You've done your research. You've investigated everything. You've gone through this whole trial and tribulation of what you bring to the table. How many times have you still gotten it wrong?
That's a valid point, Jay. That's a valid point.
Just asking the question.
That's definitely a question that I would like to see some responses in the comments.
Just asking. Just asking.
That was
all right. So how about this?
Question.
Right. So one of the things we wanted to kind of touch on was whether or not it was an inbounds question or out of bounds question to be asking early stages of dating or whatever like that. Though I feel the question is bullshit, it is an investigating question of trying to get an idea about what you potentially might be getting yourself into, or what you might be able to reap from your relationship or whatever like that, right? I got no problem with the investigation portion because that's what dating is really all about, getting to know somebody or whatever like that. But at some point in time, when you're dating somebody, the conversation kind of turns serious, right? But
for your hopes,
here's the reason why I think the question is bullshit. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, if done right, I get it. A lot of times, as men, keep it a bean, we get into that investigating process after we either been intimate with the woman, or we've been on a few dates or some shit like that. We've been on about 5 or 6 dates or whatever like that, and we getting a feeling about what type of woman this person is, what type of human being this person is. But correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of times we don't be asking no hard questions when we really just be dating, getting to know each other. It really just be like, all right, we just gonna bounce vibes off of each other, whatever like that. But as far as like questions about like, do you want kids? Maybe now at our age that'll come up, but back in the day we wasn't asking those questions. Like, how do you deal with conflict in relationships or whatever like that? That's not a first date, second date question. We'll be asking that like when we be huddled up or whatever like that.
Definitely throughout time.
Right. So we'll get into this like physical entanglement. Shout out to Jada Pinkett. we'll get into these physical entanglements with people, whatever like that, and then the hardcore questions start coming up. So while I kind of despise the question in its raw form, what do you bring to the table? It does accelerate the investigating process kind of earlier, because we as men, I kind of feel like we slow to the whole, what do women bring to us that's different from any other chick that I could get it from outside? Am I right or wrong on that one?
You I'm not gonna say you're right or wrong on it. You have an interesting thought on it. I think that it wouldn't be
Dre, before you go, let me ask you this question, because I want to shape your answer a little bit. Or I want to frame your answer a little bit.
okay.
How many times you been in a relationship with a chick that lasted more than 8 months, let's say 9 months, let's say, right? And you start realizing realizing stuff about this chick, and you be like, damn, I never even investigated whether or not she was even like that.
I'm not going to give a number count, but I definitely,
Fair enough.
I definitely use my spirit of discernment quicker than 8 months, and I can tell whether a person can add some type of value to my life.
Fair.
I am, very in tune with that. So it don't take me 8 months to see, like, all right, this person is probably not for me because of whatever situation or however however her personality matches with me. I think that we as men, you're right in the aspect that we don't investigate. But when we do investigate, it sounds like sometimes we come from a place of possible desperation, like nothing else is out there for us. We can still kind of do our vetting process throughout the time instead of kind of putting that question out on a second date. I mean, because you never know how a person can evolve. Also, like it depends. It also depends what you want as your table. So we got to get to that. It's like, what do you want individually as your table?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that later on the show.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later on in the show.
Yeah.
But Jay, your response to that, as far as we're a little bit slow in our investigations.
I feel like in the beginning we're slow because I think in the beginning we're still trying to figure out our intentions. We're still trying to figure out exactly what we want from that specific person. I also feel like when it comes to certain questions that we may ask, they don't differ. They just come out in different ways. Like if I ask you, do you like children? Can you cook? Clean? Interest? Things of that nature. That's building the blocks in my head on what type of person I'm dealing with, what she may provide to me. I find that if I ask certain questions in my head, I'm already expecting certain answers, so I don't ask them. I don't want to ask you a question that can serve up the alley-oop and make it easy, such as, can you be my piece? What woman is going to say no?
I am peace.
Who's going to say no?
No, but you might find a real woman that's going to be like, I don't know.
And I would respect that. I would absolutely respect that.
I would respect that too. If I was like, I don't know what your piece looks like.
Or even deeper, somebody that's able to express, I might not be at peace with myself. So how can I bring peace to somebody else? But that's a deeper topic. We're not ready for that.
That was
not ready
heavy.
for that.
If that shit come out on a date,
We not
I'm like,
ready for that.
what Leonardo DiCaprio saying, Django? Like, you had my curiosity. Now you got my attention.
Yeah,
You talk about
exactly.
it. You that introspective? Okay, cool. So we kind of talked about like what the table means exactly. It's pretty much what somebody brings to the table means. What kind of things do you bring to a relationship as a teammate that is an asset to not only yourself, myself, but us as a team that's going forward? I say that we're a little bit late to the investigation process or whatever like that, but my question to y'all would be, do you think this is a good question to ask or a good conversation to get into on a first or second date about a woman's previous relationship history. Like, talk to me about how your last relationship ended. And then maybe with those details, you might get a lot of information about what exactly she brings to the table from a negative point of view and also a positive point of view.
Yeah, but how would you ask that question? So, I mean, that's kind of like asking, what do you bring to the table? How would you ask that question?
Well, I'm a master of words, so let
me hear you ask that question.
So it would be a situation like, to me, all right, let's just keep it a bean. I don't mess with no ugly chicks, whatever like that, right? So I'm on a date with this beautiful, dark-skinned, whatever, right? And we vibing, whatever like that. And I'm like, yo, you beautiful. You damn near a 10, like, but you sitting up here with me and Ruth Chris or whatever. You single. What happened with your last man? Like, something went wrong that was like it didn't work out or something like that? Like, how the hell are you 36 and still single? And what happened with your last relationship? It'd be on some shit like, if you can't answer that question, then whatever. He wasn't the right fit for me, or we had a difference in opinion as far as what our futures held. Maybe he wanted kids, I didn't want kids, or I wanted kids, he didn't want kids. He cheated, I cheated, whatever like that. It's sort of like, I'm gonna make it a easy, honest, open conversation for you to have, to be on some shit like, yeah, this is what happened. That's went wrong.
I feel like it's a fair question to ask. I feel like you should ask that question pretty early, in my opinion. But I also feel like, just as the "what do you bring to the table" question is such an inflammatory type of question for us to answer, I feel like asking a woman about any past, anything she went through or is going through or anything else, you have to keep in mind a lot of things. The situation, the person she was dealing with, the frame of mind she was in. You can gather some things from that question. I feel like you can gauge whether or not, whatever happens. I always have a sense of, no matter what type of question I ask, if I ask this question to a woman, there's never really going to be a specific point where it's going to be like, I was the villain. I don't feel like I've ever got that answer. I don't feel like I've ever had that contrition of, I was dealing with somebody, maybe once. I was dealing with somebody, and things went a certain way, or he did this, or he cheated, or it just wasn't that. It's never been a situation as in, I was dealing with a man I wasn't ready for. I've never heard that. No, actually, I've heard it once. Shout out to that person. I heard it once. But I don't get a lot of contrition from that question. So therefore, I may ask it, but it's not so much in the, I'm curious on what happened. I'm more so curious on the answer you're going to give me.
Like, what role did they play a part of that failed relationship?
Exactly. Can you accept responsibility if it was indeed something you did, rather than put it on as, well, I was dealing with this poop putt ass thing. I get it. I understand it.
I run into that situation where you hear like a woman say like, I just got tired of him, or something like that.
Or we went our separate ways, or something like that.
Yeah,
or things just didn't work out.
We grew apart.
We grew apart. Things just didn't work out. Ooh. I think I've heard that a few times.
That's really like a way to peer into like what type of person you is, whatever like that. Maybe you just went through like a real self-realization, or you realized some stuff about yourself that you didn't know. You start growing within a relationship, and then realize, I don't think I could grow any further with this person by my side, or whatever like that. And that's all fair stuff or whatever like that. But me as a man, I'm going to be picking up on all them clues, thinking like, I'm really not trying to catch some female out here that's in transition. Because while you in transition, you might be figuring out stuff about yourself on a daily basis. I need somebody that's more concrete or whatever like that. Like, you know what? I might grow as a person, I might change as a person, but I know this about myself, I know this about myself, and I know this about myself. And you could count on that, just like taxes is going to come out of your check. Like when you shitty and you need my help and you call me, I'm gonna be there. You can count on that. I might not be perfect in no other areas, but you can count on me being there if you need me. Stuff like that. As a man, I'm thinking like, I could build off that. I could definitely build off that. But if you start investigating, Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but
Dre.
it's like, so to your statement is that nobody's a finished product.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
we all can involve, whether we're in a relationship, out of relationship, we all evolving, right? So yeah, we do have those core things that, again, I tend to agree with. Like, you can count on me when it comes to certain things. I'll be there for you, or I'm very supportive, whatever it may be. But as far as like some other stuff, I still can learn from, just as well as a woman can learn from. There is no thing that cannot be improved upon in any relationship.
I agree. You need somebody you can grow with, and you need somebody you can further that progression with. I think the constant, as we point out, is sometimes people deal with people and they grow apart. I don't look at it as a matter of growing apart. I look at it as a matter of somebody's growth stopped. And sometimes you can't help that. You can't control that, and you can't force somebody to grow. Sometimes it takes the separation and the absence of that person for you to reach your full potential and sometimes realize what you're dealing with. I don't have a problem with that. I think my main thing is, as much as we can acknowledge the growth, sometimes you have to acknowledge looking at things from a different perspective on maybe I was putting some past traumas, some undealt with traumas, some undealt with pain and expectation on somebody. I think the worst thing to do now is, I find that a lot of women that I've talked to view relationships now, and they go into it like, I don't want to have any expectations. I don't want to, get my hopes up. And I understand why you do that. I understand why you go into it, no expectations, no pain. But when was the last time you wanted something and you went into it with no expectations, and it was something that it was like something you really wanted? I feel like when you want something, expectations are needed.
See, to me personally, I kind of feel like when it comes to, like, y'all know me since I was a young buck, whatever like that.
Just with the good hair.
Just with the good hair, right? I'm all the way this way, or I'm all the way that way. I'm 100% in, or I'm 0% out, for better or for worse. I kind of feel like when people say stuff like, I'm not going into this thing with any expectations, in a way, all you're really doing is trying to hedge your bets for your emotions. And to me, if you go into a relationship with somebody with any ounce of cowardice, you're not going to start off on a good foundation to begin with. And what I mean when I say that, what I'm saying is, if you going over like that, and if you going into a relationship with somebody, you start courting somebody, and you say, yo, I'm feeling him, I'm feeling her, I like him, the vibe seems cool, I can see myself taking this person very seriously, whatever like that, but I'm only going to like half step certain stuff. Like, I really feel a certain type of way, but I'm only going to say this. I feel like I might be falling in love with you, but when we start talking about having conversations about like how you feel about me, whatever like that, I'd be like, I feel like we're in a good spot. Like, it's all right. I'm just taking it day by day. When you fall in love with this person, it's like, now you doing us both a disservice by not being honest. And then that's when it comes 6-7 years down the road, when you start really having to contend with like real feelings, when y'all start having problems, you like, I never knew that about that person, because you wasn't honest from the get-go. That's the biggest thing about the table for me that I have a big problem with. And you kind of alluded to it. You kind of alluded to it too. Even answering that question, most people are not going to be honest, because the question itself almost comes off as like a job interview type of question.
That's
It is a job.
That is
exactly
a job.
what
That's
it is.
exactly
It's
what
fucked up
it
on
is.
both parts. It's really fucked up on both parts. The person that's asking it is assuming that your table is in order and that your life is so good that you got the ability to ask some other stranger that you're getting to know, what do you bring to my life that's going to improve my situation? Well, who says you got your situation in order, sir or ma'am? So it's sort of like,
agreed.
It's a bad question from that person that's asking the question, and then from the person that has to answer that question, you kind of put in a job interview situation. When they be like, anybody out there that listens to the show ever been to a job interview, they ask you like,
sell your best parts of you.
tell us about the time where a person was in need and you stepped up and helped out. You lied.
Absolutely.
You know the stories I told to that
In
question?
most cases, you do lie.
Yes, you lie.
Yes.
I told some wild ass stories on
Yes.
that question. Somebody was parachute failed. I cut my parachute. I gave them my parachute, and I just fell to the ground without one.
On the way to this interview just now, I saved the baby.
Exactly.
I saved
And you
the baby.
adopted it. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So it's sort of like, to me, it's a question. I would say, if we had to put a vote on it, mono matters. Going around the table, to me, as far as the first couple of dates, vetting process, courting process, I'm going to say, asking the question, what do you bring to the table, is out of bounds. That's J Optiks' vote. Nove?
I don't like the question at all.
Out of bounds, then.
Out of bounds, definitely.
Dre the Peace God.
It's definitely out of bounds, man. Definitely out of bounds. I already said that I disagree with the question from the beginning. There's no way that if I'm on a date with a person, I'm going to ask that question. Because I don't, as Jay said earlier, you don't know if you're going to get the genuine response from them.
So with that being said, it's a tacky question for me. But it don't mean it ain't real. There is a table.
Oh, yeah. Definitely is.
So can we have a quick conversation about, as a man, what you should bring to the table, what every man should bring to the table, and as a man, what every woman should bring to the table. So I got this clip. I want to play it for y'all, get y'all reaction to it. It comes from a YouTuber. Well, she's not only a YouTuber, but she's also a TikToker, a podcaster, an author, and a speaker. Her name is Shalia Vinny. And she had a clip that went on TikTok. I'm not sure if it went viral or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people heard it. But to me, she kind of summed up what men need brought to their table absolutely perfectly. Take a listen to this.
It doesn't matter what you make. Men don't care. When men ask you, what do you bring to the table? They're simply asking, do you know how to be my peace? Will you listen to me? Will you encourage me? Will you help me to pursue my dreams and to be a better man and a human being? Are you compassionate? Are you kind? Are you loving? Are you nurturing? Will you pray with me? Will you pray for me? I'm out here fighting the world. I don't want to come home and fight with you too. If I'm going to fight, I hope that you'll fight with me and fight for me.
I don't want nothing else. And that's coming from a woman. I don't want nothing else. Only thing I would add to what she said. And I dealt with this in the past. Be who the fuck you said you was in the beginning. If you stood on a hill in the beginning of our relationship, you need to stand on that hill until the end of our relationship, whether or not that's breakup or death. If you're the type of person that say, like, yo, my loyalty can never, ever be questioned, and you a loyal person, and you loyal to the soil, your loyalty should never come into question. If you the type of person that said, like, yo, no matter what, my love is going to be unconditional, or I'll love you forever, stand on that. Don't deviate from that. If you said you honest, don't deviate from that. Don't tell me lies just to help my to help my ego or help my feelings or whatever like that. Stand on that. But her overall premise, though, ain't all we looking for is peace?
That is true. Peace.
100%.
Support.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I definitely, for myself, if you can be my peace, if you can help me have a balance to my life, because I might be on 10. If you could bring me back down, that's perfect for me. I don't really care what else you got going on. You know, I want you to be financially good, in your own right. If you have your own business or whatever you desire to do in life that you're doing, I want you to have that. But as far as our relationship, all I need you to do is help me balance out, be my peace, support me, be there for me if I have a low moment. Build me back up. Encourage me to do things. If you can't do that, I can't be with you.
I really, really love what she said. She touched on a lot of personal things and a lot of, like, you know, you get into these conversations sometimes and you say you're looking for somebody to be your peace. And then it goes into a deeper question like, well, how exactly do I do that? I mean, here's one that I don't think a lot of people pay attention to. Ladies, if your man comes to you with great news, I just got a promotion at a job, whatever, I'm excited, I'm happy. Be excited for that man. Show him the same level of excitement you would show your girl, like, I'm having a divorce party. Yes, like, give me that energy. I don't want a text that says, congratulations, 3 exclamation marks, sprinkles. That does nothing for me. Right. At that point, you make me question, why should I even bring this news to you? Because I don't feel like you're reciprocating the energy I feel I need to hear. Like, be your man's peace, be your man's cheerleader, be your man's provider. Like, I don't need your money. I don't need that. I need your time. I need your understanding. I need your peace.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, but affirmations, too. Affirm me.
Can we talk about it? Can we talk about it?
So I had actually read a Reddit. Somebody had asked a question about as a man, what do you need from a woman that is brought to the table? And that was one of the things. It was physical and verbal affirmations.
Yep.
Because what I think women don't understand about us is, especially as black men, which we are, 3 black men doing this show, is how many times when we lock the front door and we go out into the world, how many times we got a code switch, how many times we got to deal with covert racism, people gaslighting us, people talking behind our backs, having to maintain this standard of being this strong, dominant alpha presence in situations that we might actually feel vulnerable in. How many times where somebody might ask us, "Oh, how you doing?" and we'd be like, "Man, I'm just trying to get through the day," or whatever like that. And
I'm just trying to survive.
I'm just trying to survive, and the conversation get left at that, and you don't even think about it until, God forbid, this man do something to harm himself or somebody else. It's so much stuff that we got to deal with when we leave the crib, or don't even leave the crib. Every time we got to swipe the card. Every time we got to be quiet when we want to really speak up. Every time we speak up when we really want to be quiet. Anytime we got to deal with these emotions that flood us, but we don't have no place to vent it to because somebody really don't understand. And then women get in these situations where I think a lot of times they'll take it for granted. Like, yo, when I come home from work and I got to deal with all that stuff, I'm really not trying to have my partner give me no attitude right now. Like, God damn, I really had a tough day. And when I say I had a tough day, please just don't leave it at that. Investigate a little bit further about what is really bothering me. If your man came home from work and he was like, yeah, I was running late for work this morning, started off my day all fucked up because I got pulled over by a cop or something like that. Given everything that we had to deal with the cops, you might want to investigate a little bit further. How'd that make you feel? Was you scared? Are you okay now? Did you get that out your system? Did you purge that out your system? Was your day all right afterward? Are you triggered now? Do you need anything? A massage? Do you want to talk to somebody or something like that? It's like we don't have any place that we could dump our stuff. And it's really tough. And I get that women carry a lot of stuff on their end too, or whatever like that. But when like Dre the Peace guy said, whatever like that, all we need is you to be our peace. I will also add one caveat to that too. I would say we want you as women to watch our blind spots too. The stuff that we can't see, the stuff that we not thinking about. Because a lot of times we get so caught up in taking care of people around us, we forget to take care of ourselves. And a lot of times a good woman, a good wife, they will be looking at your health and how you're doing. Because when I think about my grandmother, God rest her soul, Pauline Rogers, she was always worried about her family. Grandbabies, nephews, aunties, uncles, her elders, whatever like that. It was always about, if there's anything I could do, you can always come to mama house. And as men, I think that's what we want out of our women, right?
Absolutely.
Safe spaces.
Absolutely. But what I would add to that is, ladies, be present. Be present. Meaning, if we're having a nice night, if we're, enjoying each other's company and everything, I really don't want to compete with social media. I don't want to compete with the distractions of everything else, because on the flip side, let's say you're having a discussion with your man, you're telling him about his day and whatever, but his eyes are trapped in the phone. That's nice. Word. Yep. I'm here, but I'm not present.
Right.
Be present.
It's a difference.
I mean, yeah, you want them to be present. You want them to be in tune. I mean, I would prefer, if I'm having a tough day or I have a situation, you ask me how can you support you. You say those words to me. Don't tell me it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right. Don't worry about it. Don't tell me that. You know what I'm saying? Give me help me find some solutions to whatever my issue is. Be in tune with me. Be present, as Jay said.
I think another thing too, that I'm married now, so I got a little bit more of a different vantage point than y'all do, or whatever. But we've been talking off air a lot about grace, right? So I kind of came up with the term like space and grace. It's sort of like I was reading this article and also talking to a coworker about this. But like, you know how when you first get off work and you come home and you come through the door, like them first 25 minutes is like super crucial, right? Because I'm transitioning from the outside world,
decompressing,
to the inside world. And I need some little bit of space to decompress and get my thoughts together, whatever like that. I could be super cranky because I'm hungry, or I just sat in traffic for 45 minutes or whatever like that. So you kind of need a little bit of space and grace. But having that be felt with inside your relationship or with inside your marriage, having that space and having that grace or whatever like that to say, yo, I might be having a moment of weakness as a man, and it really bothers me that I'm being weak because I want to be strong as a man. But having a partner that's going to be in your corner that says like, yo, I'm going to allow you space to feel less than yourself for a while until you figure out how to build yourself back up. And whatever help or assistance that you need to build yourself up, I'm here if you need me, baby. Just knock on me. I mean, just tap my shoulder. I'll be there to help you, whatever like that.
But yeah, definitely knock on her too, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, this is a rated R show, by the way, in case you didn't listen. Maybe TVMA.
TVMA.
But yo, give me space to come to you or use my home as a place to dump all my stuff that is bothering me that I don't have the answers for. I really don't know. I got a coworker that gave me some covert racism, or I had a situation where the person behind the counter that was taking my order said something that was kind of like slightly disrespectful, but I wound up taking my order and leaving. But on my way home driving, I'm thinking like, I really let this motherfucker get away with saying that. And I kind of want to drive back to the store and say something, whatever like that. But you know what? I'm going to take my ass in the house. I don't really want to be dealing with your attitude right now. Maybe you could kind of help me through that process or whatever like that. But anywho, I want to make sure we get the other side of the conversation before we go too far. We talked about what we want our women, or we want our women to bring to the table, like as far as an overarching thing. What should all men, bring to the table when it comes to a relationship? Start off with you, Nove.
All right, ladies, I hear you. I've heard you.
I hear you.
I hear you.
Sound like Roger Goodell.
I hear you. Number one thing, consistency. Be consistent. Be consistent in your actions. Be consistent in your intentions.
You talking about as a man? Be
as
consistent.
A man, be consistent. Gotcha. Stability. Bring something. Emotional stability, mental stability, financial stability. Bring stability. Don't be all over the place. Don't be up 1 second, down the next, up 1 second, down the next. It's hard to build a foundation on quicksand. Be stable. Have a plan. Have a goal. Have aspirations. Have direction. Don't just be out here getting whisked in the wind. You have to have some type of compass for yourself as a man before you lead a family. You have to be grounded yourself in order to lead. Be present. Also be present for us. That's pretty much what I think you should bring. You got to bring consistency. You got to be stable financially. And you got to be able to lead. I think that's a big thing I've heard too, is a lot of women find contention in the fact of, as a man, I'm looking for, feminine energy. I'm looking for not so much submissive, but feminine energy. The argument has been brought back and forth, like it's hard to give feminine energy to somebody where you smell and detect feminine energy.
And still be looked at the lead as well.
Exactly.
It's tough, yeah.
So you have to be in a position to lead not only your family, but you have to have that compass for yourself in order to lead anyone.
Bro, that's so fucking hard, bro.
So, I was going to ask you a question, though, No. Like, so what is, in your opinion, what does that look like?
Being stable, from that angle, knowing yourself, having control of self, being perfectly aware of who you are, what you want. Your intentions aren't random. They aren't spiked. You're consistent. You're calculating. You have a plan. It might not be set in stone right now, but there is a plan A, B, C, D, E to get there. Like, you have to be able to formulate your plan, put the steps in motion, and plot your course. We do this thing, not saying all, but some men do this thing where they'll talk a good game.
Of course.
Such as,
everybody has a representative in the moment.
Like, I have this plan in place. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. Sounds great. It's great ear honey. Love it.
Ear honey.
Yes.
Copyright.
Vocabulary word of the day. Don't nobody take that. But when it's time to put, feet to pavement and put the steps in place, excuses pop up. Oh, no, I can't do that because of this, and it's going to take that for this. But then if I do this and do that, I'll be able to do that. Like, no, be intentional. Be intentional, be concise, go forward.
And that's something along the lines that I was going to say, be intentional, be direct. Of course, we need to learn how to support our women better also. We just can't always just be the ultra male and be like, hey, I got this, that, and the third, and you're going to be this way. No, we got to support our women in whatever endeavors they into, whatever their heart's desires also. And also, I feel like as a man, we need to also learn how to be a nurturer. We need to know how to try to, especially where it comes to balancing out a child, or children if you have multiple. We got to learn how to be a nurturer also. So those, of course, the natural things are providing protection and all that stuff. And I think it's another P, or I might be missing it, but you can fill that in. Yeah.
So I feel like I've probably been in the longest relationship out of anybody up here. And I'm also married. So a lot of things change when you start talking about the parameters of a relationship being that we intend to be together forever, right? When you start thinking about the long term where, okay, if I'm thinking into my 60s, my 70s, my 80s, God willing, if I make it to that age, I got to chill with this person, or I got to have this person be my person. Your whole criteria changes a little bit, right? So what you want is the fact that you're honest enough to know, and you've been a human being long enough to know that everybody is going to change. Everybody's going to go through cycles in their life where things that they are interested in, they're no longer interested in. Things they once weren't open to, they're now open to. It comes back to that concept that I mentioned previously about space and grace. As a man, you have to leave your woman space in order to change into the best version of herself at every single checkpoint of the relationship. You might get with somebody who is super employee chick. I'm just trying to take care of this. I'm just take care of my bills, take care of my coins, take care of my chicken, and that's it. But at some point in the relationship, she might get super ambitious about being an entrepreneur. I want to go work for myself. I'm tired of being an employee or whatever like that. So a lot of that, part of my French, boss bitch attitude might start coming up within the relationship. And that boss bitch attitude might come off as masculine energy. You got to have it so secure in your position that you allow your space, or you allow your woman's space to be on some shit like, you feeling yourself. You trying to be a go-getter. You really want this shit. You really aggressive about this. I'm going to allow you space to do that. So even the way you talk is more aggressive. It's more intentional. It's more focused. And you feeling yourself. It might come off as cocky. It might come off as like, stay out my way. I'm about to go conquer this or whatever like that. You got to leave your woman space in order to have her be in a position where she could go dominate her goals. All right, so that's number one. Space and grace on that. Another thing I would say as far as like what a man should bring to a table in a serious, committed relationship is, I had a mean argument last year on Facebook with one of my friends. Shout out to my man New Money. And we was having an argument about gender roles in a relationship and whether or not a man should always take the role of, yo, I'm head of the household, what I say goes, and that's that, whatever like that. While I disagree with the whole fact that like whatever I say goes portion of it, a man in a relationship should be the head of the household. Why? Because he is going to take the responsibility for all the failures. No matter how the fuck you slice it, because I've been in this situation, even as a married man. If you even put out the inclination like, yo, man, how's everything going, man? Shit bad right now. The first place they gonna look is the man.
Mm-hmm.
When you say, or if a chick say, yo, I got divorced, when people ask, oh, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
What did he do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it really means.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to take the brunt of the responsibility for the failure, you have to take the brunt of the responsibility for the successes. So that kind of leads to both of y'all points as far as a man being a leader in a relationship. I say all that to say, figure out your leadership style. That is the single most important ingredient I could give to any man that's out there listening to this show. If you're going to be in a relationship with a woman and you plan on being committed to this person for a long time, figure out your leadership style. There's masculine energy and there's feminine energy. And there's nothing wrong with being a man and having feminine energy at all. And there's nothing wrong with a woman being out there having masculine energy at all. But you make sure that you with a partner that can balance that.
Yep.
And if they're going to balance it, you got to train yourself to also balance that stuff too.
Yep.
Be vulnerable when it's time to be vulnerable. But be firm when it's time to be firm. And that is a learned skill. So I say that having the ability to be self-aware is super paramount as far as being a man in a relationship, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. Gender roles, though, I wanted you to speak more about that. Like, what is the defined gender roles? Like, say if a woman makes more money than you, right? She brings in more of the income, right?
Yeah.
So we are expected to basically pay all the bills, right? How would you go about that? You being actually the most experienced, as you said. Or how do you go about that? Let's rephrase that.
So it really comes down to the foundation of your relationship, but it really comes down to the values. If you're in a situation where your woman makes more money than you, but both of y'all have a supreme high level of value on money, she's probably going to run the relationship. And when I say run, I mean she's probably going to be the one has the loudest voice in decision making. If you are the type of couple who doesn't value money as far as being like some type of barometer, as far as like not necessarily control, but say your voice in a relationship, it's not going to make a difference. But you should never put yourself in a position where you're relying upon your woman's finances. Ever.
That's a fact.
Ever. That is a
100%
bad
agree.
idea.
100%.
100%.
I can't make anybody understand that, but I would say if you ever in a position where you're in that position, you would understand.
Mm-hmm.
Don't rely on a woman's finances at all.
No, 100% agree. I feel like our income, especially now as I've gotten older, our income will provide most of for the household, right? If we need a little help here, or even if we're going so-called 50-50, depending on whatever your relationship, however your relationship is, you know what I'm saying? But we still can manage all the household with all the bills and all that stuff. So I 100% agree. I was just getting your perspective because I want to know what you thought.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just how I feel as far as money. It is a factor in relationship. It's one of the main reasons why people get divorced in America, at least. So money is definitely a big factor or that like that. But I would say people's value systems can change within a relationship. And if your value system change, how you treat another person or how you treat your spouse will essentially change depending on what value you feel like they're bringing to the relationship at that time. So if somebody is in a situation where they like, when we first started off, I was one way, but now that we 10 years in, now I kind of feel like having fun is like more my thing. I want to travel. I want to have fun. I want to go out. I want to be more present on social media. I want to take more chances. I want to be riskier and stuff like that. It's sort of like you have to ask yourself as a man, am I willing to grow into that role of somebody who was maybe super conservative, now growing into 10 years later, somebody who is super extroverted, outgoing and stuff like that? If you can allow yourself that space, cool. If not, then you got to have an honest conversation with yourself as a man. Like, you know what? That ain't what I signed up for. Like, that's really not me.
But before you even get to that point where you got to question whether you should be a part of the relationship, when you do a deep dive to figure out like what transpired to make this person be more extroverted, what are they going through?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not a necessary thing of them going through anything. It's just a natural growth in themselves as well. I mean, we all as human beings find a way to grow and find a way to evolve depending on circumstances and depending on environment. Maybe the environment changed. Maybe they finally got comfortable enough to allow that part of them to be explored. So
yeah,
that portion is more
drastic changes. Like, you might have been introverted, whatever like that, but you lost a ton of weight. You feeling good about how you look or your specific appearance. Maybe you did a surgery or something like that and you got your body right where you feel more self-confident to put yourself out there more times. So while you might came off as like a homebody, very introverted before, now you want to go out. Now you want to have fun. Now you want to show off the fruits of your labor because you've been going to the gym 6 times a week for the last 10 years. And it's sort of like, oh, now I got to get to know that person now too. And it's sort of like you got to kind of figure out in your head as a man, like, has the dynamics in my relationship changed to where it's sort of like I could deal with that space now? Because before it was very easy, but now I got a husband, or I got a wife, I got a girlfriend, I got a boyfriend who's getting a lot more attention now, who wants to go out to the club now, who was not very religious, but now they want to go to church every week. It's a lot of stuff that you got to be willing to change with. But as a man, you got to be flexible to say, like, are you going to affect the core values of our relationship or not? And you got to figure that shit out. And it's tough. It's tough to grow with. But I also say too, like, as far as what men should bring to the table, I think one of the things we got to check off the list too, and I feel remiss if we didn't mention, is from a physical standpoint, you should always be the protector,
of course,
of the relationship. You know, it's a bump in the night, in the middle of the night while y'all sleep,
you're getting up.
Somebody got to go downstairs.
It's
you,
you,
man.
It's absolutely
whatever
you.
like that.
It's
As far as discipline, I will also add this little nuance too. As far as discipline of any young boys, it should be the man.
But
I don't care what
what's the
anybody
difference
says.
between a young boy and young girl though? Like, shouldn't we kind of be that discipline and that balance? Because if the woman is in traditional times so-called the nurturer, right, and stuff, and the man, it was a disciplinary in traditional times, why can't we kind of keep that going forward? But
So-
in turn, we still got to kind of be both parents. But like, why can't we be a discipline for a boy? Why there has to be a discipline for a boy than a girl?
Because it's different lived experiences. So if you have a situation where, let's say, you trying to teach a boy the value of using your words rather than using your fist, you know, as a father, my son is going to be placed in that situation more times than my daughter is. Why? Because typically women, when they find themselves in situations where there's conflict or confrontation, they usually result to their words first. I'm going to throw mud on your name. I'm going to talk shit behind your back. I'm going to gossip. I'm going to curse you out in front of your face. I'm going to write passive aggressive emails or text messages, or I'm going to cut you off or whatever like that. You rarely run into situations where you hear a situation about a bar fight and 2 women was involved. More times than not, let's say 8 times out of 10, it's probably 2 dudes that got into some altercation because, yo, you looked at my girl the wrong way, or you stepped on my sneaker or whatever like that. So while, yes, a father should be involved in the disciplining of his daughter or whatever like that, it shouldn't be a situation where you neglect the fact that you need more time with your mother as far as understanding how a woman is viewed in our society, because I can't possibly ever have that conversation to say, oh, baby, you went too far on that one. I don't know what too far is for a woman, but I know what too far is for a man. So if your son came home, if Sai came home and was like, yo, this boy said I was soft, and he keep calling me soft every day. At once you be like, man, you ignore, you do your job, you go to school, you're supposed to be like, but as a father, at some point you're gonna be honest with you, like, if you keep calling you soft every day, there'll probably be some people that's gonna start to believe that. And you can't walk around as a man and be soft.
Yeah, your name is your name.
But you can walk around as a girl and be thought of as like, oh, she don't want no smoke. That's fine.
With that scenario, right? If my son came home and told me that he was soft, somebody that called him soft, I'll tell him again, like you said, ignore. You know, if it persists, you ask him like, yo, what's the problem? I would teach him how to use his words before he try to get too physical, but also like, I have to dive deep into him. It's like, what is behaviors that he's showing that another kid could think that he's soft? You know, stuff, and then work on building those behaviors, right, or conquering those behaviors, those negative behaviors or behaviors, period, to like, all right, he's not soft. Maybe because my son may be soft-spoken and everything, they might think that he's soft.
But no, if you see how he took that second step of being, I'm investigating like why they think you soft. Mm-hmm. That's your testosterone pumping out right there.
Yeah, because
if your daughter came to you and was like, yo, these chicks think I'm soft, you'd be
ignore
like, ignore them. Who cares?
But of course,
I don't give a shit.
I differ from that, for real. Like, if I had a daughter and she came home and was like, oh, they calling me names, they think I'm soft. I'm like, yo, why do you think you soft? Like this. No, I would say that. You may not agree with me, but I would say that. I would say that. Like, why do you think you soft? It's like, what behaviors are you showing to think that for them to say that you're soft?
I do agree with that. A question needs to be asked because it's not just coming from nowhere, or maybe it is, but at the end of the day, you have to get your child's perspective on what they may be seeing, or why do you feel like they're calling you that?
No, don't get me fucked up. I would wonder why they're calling you soft.
You're just not going to ask.
It just wouldn't bother me
to ask.
Like if I say, yo, why you think they calling you soft, baby girl? And she'd be like, I think they think I'm soft because this, that, and the third, or whatever like that. I'd be like, oh well, whatever. Who cares about them?
No.
If my son,
it depends on what she says.
It depends on what she says. Really on what she says.
All right. Obviously, it depends on what she would say. All right. That goes without saying. But if, let's say, it was like something like super minute, like something that happened when I raised my hand in class and I said something that everybody else wouldn't say, or you snitched on somebody that did you wrong or whatever like that. Cool, whatever. All right. My levels as a man, as a father, is going to go up 10 times that amount with my son. Like if my son ever snitched on one of his classmates, that is a conversation I'm about to have with my son.
Wait,
it's a conversation I would have with my daughter as well. But I'm telling you right now, it won't be the same conversation. Because there's a difference between how men out here who snitch get looked at and girls out here who snitch that get looked at. So I'm going to have that conversation based on those parameters. You got to go into a room as a woman and show grace and show composure. You got to go into a room as a man and have self-respect about yourself, integrity about yourself, character about yourself. And when you speak, people look at your word differently than they do a woman. That's just a society that we live in. A woman that gossips ain't different than a man that gossips.
Yes,
that's a
that is true. I
whole
look
fact.
at
Right?
when
That's a
men
whole
gossip.
fact.
I'm like, yo, what are you doing?
Why we talking
but-
about?
but-
Why you talking about her?
Yeah,
Behind her back?
exactly.
I get, yeah, I understand that, but when it comes to your scenario where you're talking about snitching and you mentioned the word integrity, I feel like if you're gonna have integrity, you're gonna tell the truth or do what's right without without being seen. So if my son was a so-called snitch on something because he probably seen an injustice or something that was done wrong and he wants to shed light on it and tell the truth, and I would expect the same thing from a daughter if I had a daughter.
Right.
So I mean, I like I said, I kind of agree, but with that scenario, no. I think that if it goes to gossiping and talking behind people's back, if my son was doing that stuff, like, nah, we don't do that. That's not what I taught you. You know what I mean? For a young girl, I would say the same thing. I don't want nobody to gossip. I don't want anybody. If you are a gossiper, that means you are prone to, or you could be susceptible to like nonsense. You can just be taking in garbage, and that's not the person that I would be wanting to raise. That's not the impression that I give off to raise a child.
Mm-hmm. That's a fact.
Yeah, great.
All right, so before we wrap up the show, obviously we got to throw out our social medias. Mondo Matters at Instagram. You can follow us there. We'll be posting daily content, clips of the show. We're thinking about getting a Twitter page. Bro, I can't stand Twitter.
I've never been on Twitter.
I cannot stand Twitter. It's a dangerous place, and we just might put Nova in charge of that because I wouldn't be able to do it.
Oh, no, he's
with the
already
nonsense.
designated. He designated.
Yo, Black Twitter, bro, it is weird place. I done got crucified up there. But anywho, we also have a brand new Mind on Matters YouTube page.
Yes,
We'll
sir.
be posting
Yeah.
full episodes and clips up there as
You
well.
can see our lovely face.
So please, when you see that run across your timeline, make sure you subscribe, like, share, do all the other buttons that they have up there. We also have a Mondo Matters Facebook page.
Yes, we do.
Where we also be posting clips and full episodes, as well as polls and questions and all type of stuff like that. As far as shout outs is concerned, I got a couple of shout outs to make. One, I want to shout out this company, the Black Vegan Shop. I get a couple of their products right now, but I want to shout out their particular product that I've been taking for the last 3.5 weeks. Their Tongat Ali, which is essentially long jack. I don't know if y'all ever heard of long jack root, but it has some benefits. Yeah, so I don't got to drink a Guinness Stout no more. I got take some Tongat Ali or whatever like that. It's good for your energy. It's good for your stress levels. And dudes out there that might be dealing with a little bit of bedroom problems, it take care of that, no problem. It's a good company. I also take their black seed oil products. Another shout out I want to give is to a colleague of mine who recently passed away, Bill Green. I remember every single thing you taught me when I first started working with you, sir. And it's very sad to see you go. I know you just retired from your job, but I just want you to know that every single thing you taught me about working, being a man, and life in general and what a man should represent, I take all those things to my grave. And rest in peace, Bill Green. You'll be missed, and condolences and prayers to your family. Gentlemen, you got anything that caught your eye this week? Anything that resonated with you that went viral? How's your energy levels, 1 to 10?
Well, my energy levels is I would say a good 8 right now.
Ooh.
But, yeah,
I like 8.
It was a good 8. I was on one this week.
Oh,
I was definitely on one. I was on one this week, but I do got a shout out to. I want everybody to follow or check out Esses of Healing. It's spelled ESSENC of Healing on Instagram and Facebook. She just had a grand opening. Check her out. She's supporting the youth and will soon be supporting adults. So check it out, people.
Nice. Esses of Healing.
Energy levels about a good strong 7.8.
7.8.
7.8.
Like, round of applause.
Just round it off to 8.
Nah, you
like
gotta be honest with yourself. So it's a good 7.8. Unfortunately, I don't have any company shout outs as of yet, but it's coming. I do want to shout out, birthday shout out. Very important. Martha Jameson.
Martha.
It's your day today.
Mama Nova.
Mama James. Son.
Been a pillar, been a North Star for me. I mean, I know everybody says, they had the best mom in the world. Fortunately for me, it's fact. So,
I like it. Okay.
yeah, happy birthday.
Love it.
Love you.
Happy birthday, Mama.
Yeah, happy birthday, Mama Jameson. She definitely does represent all the things that, as far as like what you would want in a partner, as far as like a man, like
standard.
that true old school Karen.
That's a standard.
She got all that, and she could cook her ass off.
Yes.
But that's neither
Yes,
here nor there.
sir.
Whatever like that.
Yes.
Dre the Piece of God, you got something in the Battle Cry book? Shout
Oh,
out to
so
Jason
yeah,
Williams.
I was introduced his Battle Cry book to my brothers and everything. Dr. Jason Wilson. Follow him also on Instagram. He's a wonderful guy, inspiration.
Yes,
the one thing that stood out to me in the book is love without limits.
Love without limits.
Love without limits, and that I feel like we can use more of that in this world today.
Facts. Jason Wilson, excuse me. He is a great follow on Instagram. I will say that he's very engaging follow on Instagram, and this book is great. I just started it. I'm probably about halfway through, so even on the first page, I read some stuff that kind of like changed my whole attitude as far as being a warrior and thinking about life as being a warrior and dealing with every single thing that you deal with as something that you need to conquer and not ignore. So shout out to him, Battle Cry. Get the hard copy, sit with it. That is going to conclude Mondo Matters Season 2, Episode 2, live from NMG Studios, not a media group. Shout out to the homies. And we'll catch y'all in the next one. Like we said before, first and third Thursdays of every month. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. If it's got a podcast director in it, we're pretty much on it.
We'll be there.
And make sure you follow all our socials, and let's grow our YouTube page, so we're going to be heavy on that. Let us know if you want us to start a TikTok page. I've been hearing that's popping.
Ooh.
I mean,
I'm not in the
there will
TikTok
be no
crowd.
dancing. Well, I don't think there will be, at least. But, whatever. We'll see
Never
what
know.
happens.
Any questions,
Never know.
comments, concerns, show ideas, interview opportunities, Mind
Comments.
on Matters.
Yes.
Mind on Matters, Gmail at gmail.com. Mind on Matters podcast at gmail.com. Holla at us. We out.
Later.